Tak já také opravdu hodně děkuji za závěrečnou přednášku. Já stejně asi jako vy jsem v posledních letech slyšel mnoho přednášek o evropské paměti nebo evropské identitě, ale málo, jestli vůbec nějakou koncipovanou tak přesvědčivě z evropské perspektivy, jako bylo to, o čem mluvil Peter Lagru. Peter Lagru mě během obědové přestávky varoval, že jeho projev bude velmi provokativní. On, myslím, byl v tom nejlepším slova smyslu. Vyvolá jistě řadu komentářů a otázek, ale ty bychom nechali až úplně na závěr našeho jednání. Nyní bychom přikročili k tedy druhé části, to znamená ke shrnutí konference. Shrnout třídenní konferenci je mimořádně obtížný, ale zároveň také důležitý úkol, protože se teď dovíme, co jsme vlastně za ty 3 dny slyšeli a co si o tom máme myslet. Tak první, kdo nám to sdělí, bude Dušan Kováč.
Neviem, či celkom môžem splniť túto úlohu. Počuli sme tu iste veľa zaujímavých vecí. Možno, že to bolo trošku také rozptýlené. To, čo chcem a čo môžem v tejto chvíli, bude skôr, že by som vás chcel informovať o tom, čo to vo mne vyvolalo, k čomu ma to inšpirovalo. Možno, že nadviažem aj na predchádzajúcu prednášku Pietra Lagru. Hovorili sme tu o pamäti. Ja som trošku starší ako Pieter Lagru. Ja si pamätám dokonca aj druhú svetovú vojnu. Pamätám si, že naša ulica bola bombardovaná spojeneckými vojskami a dobre si živo pamätám na to, že som z toho mal veľké potešenie. Hrmelo to, rinčalo sklo. Moje potešenie nevyplývalo ale z toho, že nás bombardovali spojenecké vojska, ktoré nás chceli oslobodiť od okupantov, ale moje potešenie vyplývalo z toho, že jednoducho moja detská pamäť v tomto čase bola taká nulová a bombardovanie bolo také vytrhnutie z toho všedného bežného života. Chcem tým povedať, že naša individuálna pamäť je formovaná skutočne, kvalita tejto pamäti je našimi skúsenosťami životnými, všetkým tým, čím sme prešli, čo sme prečítali a čo nám iní vtlkli do hlavy. To je strašne dôležité. Natíska sa mi otázka, vlastne čo by bolo treba, čím by bolo treba komentovať vlastne naše stretnutie. Mňa napadli také 3 body, ktoré možno navzájom sú veľmi prepletené. A budú možno skôr o tom, o čom sa tu menej hovorilo. Prvý bod by som nazval tak pracovne národné záujmy. Dosť málo sme tu hovorili o tomto pojme. Známa anglická spisovateľka Agatha Christie má v svojom jednom románe, ktorý je známy ako divadelná hra. Originále v angličtine sa ten román volá Toward Zero. Nejak sa to preloží správne. Smerovanie k bodu 0. Jedna postava tam kritizuje kriminálne romány v tom zmysle, že kriminálne romány sú všetky zlé, pretože oni sa začínajú vraždou. Ale v skutočnosti je oveľa dôležitejšie všetko to, čo bolo pred tou vraždou. Procesy, ktoré k tomu bodu 0 viedli. Myslím si, že keď hovoríme o 20. storočí, o moderných dejinách, že sme tu veľa hovorili aj o prvej svetovej vojne. To je nepochybne významný medzník v dejinách Európy, dejinách sveta. Je to vlastne začiatok tohoto krátkeho 20. storočia. Ale problémy, ktoré vlastne priviedli k svetovej vojne, siahajú oveľa hĺbšie. Málo sme to asi hovorili o tom, že tým dominantným problémom to bol problém európskeho nacionalizmu. Európa vytvorila v 19. storočí túto ideológiu a nejako proseliticky ju dokonca dokázala aj rozšíriť po ostatných kontinentoch. Európsky nacionalizmus, politický nacionalizmus, ideou národného štátu, to je naozaj idea, ktorá je oveľa staršia. Ale vráťme sa k prvej svetovej vojne. K prvým dňom vypuknutia vojny. Ošiaľ, eufória, vojnová eufória v európskych mestách. Počuli sme hesla Nech žije vojna. Máme to zdokumentované. Ľudia mali potešenie, radosť z toho, že vypukla vojna. Vieme si to predstaviť, že je to niečo normálne v ľudskom živote? Zrejme nie, ale nepýtame sa možno prečo. Ako je to možné, že v ľudských hlavách došlo k takej zvrátenosti, že sa tešia z vojny? Odpoveď je možno, že zložitejšia, ja sa ju snažím zjednodušiť. Bol to nacionalizmus, ktorý strašil v ľudských hlavách a ktorý straší v ľudských hlavách vlastne dodnes. Druhý medzník, ktorý v tom našom programe bol vymedzený, bol rok 2004 ako veľký deň európskej integrácie. Isté, že tento rok tá integrácia by nebola možná bez pádu železnej opony 5 rokov predtým, a tým pádom železnej opony sa vlastne skončilo to krátke 20. storočie. Ale aj tento medzník nám kladie otázku. Znamená súčasná rozšírená Európska únia koniec európskej rozdrobenosti, koniec európskej konfliktnosti? Všetkým sa nám nanúka takýto zjednodušujúci pohľad, pretože je veľmi pekný a je taký optimistický a my asi máme k optimizmu nejaké prirodzené sklony. Ja by som možno, že komentoval to len takými opäť skúsenosťami. V nových štátoch, ktoré vstúpili do Európskej únie, sa konalo všade referendum. Hlavný argument stúpencov integrácie v nových krajinách bolo, že vstup do Európskej únie je v našom národnom záujme. Nie v záujme Európy, nie v záujme sveta, humanizmu, je to v našom národnom záujme. Tento argument, myslím, sme doteraz dosť málo reflektovali, ale on tu s nami je. Malý detail z nedávnej histórie. Nedávno sa konali v Maďarsku parlamentné voľby. Maďarskí občania dostali do poštových schránok od vládnej strany takú informáciu, že táto vláda Viktora Orbána chráni maďarských občanov pred Európskou úniou, pred jej tlakom. Európska únia, išlo o ekonomické veci, o ceny energií a nejaké podobné veci. Ale znovu je to niečo povážlivé. Európska únia ako určitý nebezpečný fenomén, ktorý ohrozuje naše národné záujmy. Takýchto príkladov by sa mohli uviesť určite viacej. V Európe máme problém s imigrantami v mnohých krajinách. Referendum vo Švajčiarsku, to nie je síce členom Európskej únie, ale je s Európou prepletené. Objavujú sa extrémistické hnutia proti imigrantom dokonca v takom Holandsku, dokonca vo Fínsku. Toto je niečo, čo určitým spôsobom Európu znepokojuje a čo má svoje historické korene, o ktorých by sme asi mali hovoriť. Bod číslo 2 je s tým, čo som teraz povedal, veľmi úzko spätý. Nazval by som ho pravicový extrémizmus. Pravicový extrémizmus je niečo, čo v súčasnej Európe existuje, či to chceme alebo nechceme. Diktatúry v 20. storočí vyrastali obyčajne z krízy ekonomickej, politickej a krízy budú aj v budúcnosti. Darmo si myslíme, že už sme jednu krízu prekonali. Myslím si, že to je niečo, čo bude patriť k nášmu životu aj pre budúcnosť. A tu asi je treba si znovu povedať, z čoho vyplývajú tieto tendencie. pravicového oportunizmu. Je to z nedostatočnej historickej pamäti? Asi áno, pretože my v Európe historici, historiografia bola už od konca 19. storočia položená na národných príbehoch. Národné príbehy, národné záujmy. Toto všetko je súčasťou nášho myslenia dodnes. Ťažko sa nám oslobodzuje od predstavy nejakej národnej výlučnosti, od tej národnej teleológie, že národ vlastne niekedy vznikol a k niečomu smeruje, že má nejaké poslanie v dejinách. Myslím si, že toto všetko by bolo dobre, keby sme aj pre budúcnosť trošku viacej skúmali. My máme pri najmenšom v týchto krajinách Vyšegrádskej štvorky na toto aj nejaké také špeciálne ústavy národnej pamäti. Neviem, či sú si tieto inštitúcie celkom vedomé toho, že ich poslaním by bolo vlastne aj ukazovať na to, kde sa tu vzal fašizmus, kde sa tu vzala tá iná diktatúra a nejde o to, že diktatúra komunistická, ja teraz skôr používam termín bolševická, teraz toto nechcem rozvádzať, bola tu nejakým spôsobom importovaná. Tieto krajiny by sa iste boli dostali pod kuratelu Stalinovú, tak či tak, ale nás zaujíma to, ako ľudia doma vlastne pomohli Stalinovi presadiť sa v týchto krajinách, tí, ktorí s ním kolaborovali, ktorí vlastne z toho potom ťažili. Oslobodiť sa od národnej ideológie asi nie je taká jednoduchá vec, ako sme si možno že mysleli ešte v roku 1989. A bod číslo 3 je možno takisto s tým trošku spätý so všetkým. Nazval by som ho história či historiografia a politika. To, do akej miery sa historici a tí, ktorí sa zaoberajú pamäťou, dokážu oslobodiť od politického tlaku, to závisí samozrejme od rôznych okolností, ale asi je tu na určitá tradícia a opäť možno, že väčšia v týchto krajinách, ktoré boli 40 rokov pod tou bolševickou kuratelou, že história má niečomu slúžiť ľudu, svetlej budúcnosti, čo znamenalo slúžiť režimu. Ak má história slúžiť, tak by mala slúžiť samozrejme poznaniu a ak teda k niečomu, tak k humanizácii človeka a spoločnosti. Ale toto ešte nepreniklo nejako hlbšie do vedomia. Ako náhle sa politici objavia s tromfom v rukách, a ten tromf je znovu národná karta, ktorá sa v politike veľmi často objavuje a žiaľ už v poslednej dobe nie len v tejto časti Európy, ale aj v západnej Európe. Vždy sa nájdú medzi historikmi aj teda inými spoločenskými vedcami ľudia, ktorí sú ochotní tieto tendencie podporovať. Veľa teda záleží na tom, ako dokážeme s tými medzníkmi a s tou historickou pamäťou narábať. Vrátim sa možno k prvej svetovej vojne. Teraz už vypukla skoro taká epidémia a neviem, ako sa blížime k sarajevskému atentátu, tak to bude asi čím ďalej, tým intenzívnejšie rôzne diskusie v tlači, v médiách. Ja som sa stretol s jedným takým názorom, ktorý celkom seriózne presadzoval myšlienku, že vypuknutie prvej svetovej vojny bolo spôsobené zlyhaním európskej diplomácie. A hneď sa to porovnávalo s Ukrajinou. Aj pri Ukrajine sa teda európska diplomácia zlyhala. Zaoberal som sa dejinami diplomácie pred prvou svetovou vojnou a ja môžem povedať, že to nebolo zlyhanie diplomácie. Diplomácia pred prvou svetovou bola skvelá, ale jej úlohou nebolo zabrániť vojne, ale priviesť k vojne. Takže asi v takýchto veciach by sme možno, že sa mohli dohodnúť, aby sme hovorili o veciach viac menej kvalifikovane. Keď ešte hovorím o prvej svetovej vojne, na záver len takéto malé príklady. Skúsme si predstaviť, že tá vojna, tú vojnu, niekedy zvyknem hovoriť, že všetko je v ľuďoch, že všetko závisí od ľudí. Je to naozaj tak? Ja som si premietol tie osobnosti, ktoré rozhodovali. Môžem povedať, že s výnimkou nemeckého cisára Wilhelma II., ktorý sa aj na verejnosti svojou agresivitou nejako veľmi netajil a ktorý mal aj tento imič vo verejnosti. A do určitej miery možno, že to platí o francúzskom prezidentovi Raimondovi Poincarém, u ktorého to nakoniec bolo spôsobené aj tým, že bol Francúz a bol Lotriňan, takže tá averzia voči anexii Alsaská-Lotrinská nejako bola aj jeho osobnou záležitosťou. Všetky ostatné osobnosti boli typy skôr mierumilovné, ktoré sa venovali nejakým svojim záujmom. Ruský cár Nikolaj II. Bol skôr človek slabého charakteru, ktorý sa venoval svojej rodine. Jeho minister zahraničných vecí Sazonov bol typický diplomat, ktorý hľadal riešenie vždy v nejakých diplomatických konštrukciách. Podobne to bol rakúsko-uhorský minister zahraničnej veci Berchtold, francúzsky politik Aristide Briand, neskôr nositeľ Nobelovej ceny za mier, jeden z najzaujímavejších politikov tých čias, socialista. Nebol militantný typ, skôr teda bol človek, ktorý hľadal nejakým spôsobom východiska, mierové konsenzus. George V., anglický kráľ, bratranec ruského cára a Wilhelma II., bol človek, ktorého najviac bavilo zbierať známky. Jeho minister zahraničných vecí, Sir Edward Grey, nebol nejakým politikom, ktorý by presadzoval vojnové riešenia. Bol to človek, ktorý sa venoval ako amatér ornitológii a myslím si, že napísal príručku pre rybárov. Bol to športovec, ktorý bol dobrý fotbalista a bol v Oxforde majstrom univerzity v tenise. Boli to všetko teda ľudia, ktorí mali svoje súkromné záujmy, ktorí individuálne, tak všetci o sebe, boli normálni ľudia, mierumilovní a predsa títo ľudia spôsobili, že svet upadol do vojnovej katastrofy. Musíme sa pýtať prečo. A opäť je tu odpoveď, možno, že je trošku zjednodušená, pretože všetci považovali za svoju povinnosť brániť národné záujmy, brániť svoj štát. To bolo niečo, čo presahovalo ich osobnosť. Niečo, čo im bolo nejakým spôsobom spoločnosťou vnútené. Si v tejto pozícii, si panovník, si minister, musíš teda brániť svoju krajinu. Dalo by sa hovoriť aj o srbských, teda bosniacko-srbských atentátnikov zo Sarajeva. Veď to boli všetko veľmi milí chlapci. Ale problém bol v tom, že boli posadnutí jednou myšlienkou, jednou nacionalistickou ideou veľkého Srbska. Boli to idealisti. Ja by som varoval pred idealistami, pretože idealisti sú ľudia, ktorí majú v hlave idei a tie idei môžu byť rôzne. Chcel by som teda na záver povedať, že ak by sme sa mali niečomu venovať možno, že hĺbšie pre budúcnosť, to je práve to, aby sme sa pokúsili trošku hĺbšie načrieť do stereotypov v našich hlavách, v hlavách našej mladej generácie. My sme tu hovorili aj o múzeu, o tom, aké sú tam výstavy, čo tam všetko človek môže dozvedieť. Hovorili sme tu o holokauste, o tom, že chodia študenti do koncentračných táborov ako do múzeí. Stretávajú sa tam so všetkou tou hrôzou. Ale ja sa pýtam, čo vlastne si tí mladí ľudia o tom myslia? Jedna odpoveď je, myslia si, no tí ľudia, čo to robili, boli blázni. Ale nás sa to netýka. A tu je niekde ten problém. že si mladí ľudia povedia v jednej chvíli, že sa nás to netýka. Ja si viem celkom dobre predstaviť, že tí istí mladí ľudia, ktorí si myslia, že sa ich to netýka, oblečú si čierne kožené bundy a reťaze a zaradia sa do nejakej extremistickej skupiny. Myslím si, že to nie je nejaká veľká fantázia. Problém je to asi v tom, že my históriu vnímame ako niečo, čo prešlo a týmto spôsobom to vníma aj mladá generácia. A my by sme im mali nejakým spôsobom ukázať, že aj toto, čo sa deje dnes, že tie choré myšlienky pravicového extrémizmu niekde vznikli a že z tohoto mohla vzniknúť vojna, mohla vzniknúť katastrofa, mohol vzniknúť holokaust a že vlastne toto všetky tie riziká v našej spoločnosti existujú. Ďakujem.
Já moc děkuji a teď máme před sebou úplně poslední přednášku. Tak paní Siobhán, Kattago.
Thank you very much. So first of all, I'd like to respond to Peter Lagrew's very polemic talk. I have 3 small remarks or questions for him, and then I will try to make some reflections on the last 3 days, what we've been speaking about. But the question that you asked us, Peter, why are we in this business of discussing mass crimes? Why are we constantly going into the closets and digging up bones? I'm going to put a much more positive slant, I think, on your polemic here and argue that there is a real relationship between democratization and the politics of regret. There is something that has taken place since 1945, but I would not be so bold as to say that was a seismic shift or a great turning point. I think it was a long, slow process, but nonetheless, there is a relationship between processes of, and I put that plural, processes of democratization and a politics of regret. It is, I think, also linked with human rights. You might say there is a kind of a learning curve, but there is this deep sense of if one is to democratize and if one is to be a democracy, one needs to deal with the past. So I think they are linked as 2 sides of the same coin. In the second point, when you raised what could be the link between 1914 and 2014, you painted this marvelous picture of Europe as a kind of phoenix rising out of the ashes of darkness, despair, and war, and really critically raised whether human rights again could be that moment. I would say, well, what about Nuremberg? Yes, Nuremberg was flawed, but it did give us crimes against humanity. It gave us that word, humanity, which is so important. Usually we hear about humanity from religion, but now we have it in the political and the legal framework of humanity, a new crime against humanity, even though Nuremberg was flawed. And Victor's justice, it still established that. Also, you have René Cassin, who's writing about this declaration and drafting the Declaration for Human Rights. And in the book you referred to by Samuel Moynes, this utopia, so what was it? Oh, human rights is the last utopia. I think there he doesn't give enough credit to René Cassin. So it's there, I think, and sure, you can say it's a grand narrative and it's too simplistic and too reductive. I grant that, but I don't want to give it up. I think there is some kind of a learning process that we can see since 1945 that has not been there before. The third point to you, democracy and its enemies, that sounds like George Bush and a war against terrorism, but replace democracy here with the original title from Karl Popper, Open Society and its enemies. Right? This is not George Bush, please. This is Popper and the meaning that Popper had on open society and its enemies does not mean that the open society is Fortress Europe keeping out its immigrants. It is not the NSA spying on everybody. The open society, the enemy of the open society are not outside the city gates. The enemy of the open society are within, when we don't look at our neighbor as a neighbor and we look at our neighbor as from a particular tribe, from somebody who's different. So the master narrative of democracy and its enemies, I would twist it, bring back, Karl Popper here and say that the real meaning he was really hinting at is a very important one, that the real enemies of the open society, it's us, it's within us and not outside the gates. And of course, Churchill, democracy, right, is the worst form of government, but it is the best form we've had today, or found today. So that was my plug for democracy and human rights, just to counter, I had to do this, But a brilliant, brilliant talk. And now, my conclusions. So the conclusions, I thought like this. I read the title many times, and then I thought, I'm just going to reflect on the title, because the title is such a wonderful one. Turning Points of European Remembrance. So I'm going to go through each word. First, turning points. We had, beginning with Marcy Shore, we had this marvelous metaphor of wrinkle in time, kind of a portal back to time. But the turning points are these venda, kera, bifurcations, paradigm shifts. Turning points actually have an old philosophical meaning, which is based on two different types of time. If you look at time and we think of chronos, that's the ordinary time that we measure with our clocks and with our calendars. It's time that is measurable. It's the chronology. It's the ordinary empty time. But in the ancient Greek days, there was another type of time, and that was the kairos. That was the time of the epiphany, the time of the miracle, the time of the rupture, the time of revolution. And it is only through the kairos, which is a turning point, that we can have time illuminated, it stands still for a moment, and be able to think about the past. And this kairos, this sort of holy moment of time that stops and ruptures everything, also affects how we think about the present and the future. In the Middle Ages, then this kairos idea got a new life with the Nungstans, with the idea of standing still. And this was time understood in the sense of eternity, in the sense of God. And how does the time that is a one moment, a present, appear in the face of eternity? These ideas were revitalized in the 20th century by two very interesting thinkers. One was Walter Benjamin, with his idea of Jetztzeit, the now time, which is the now seized in the moment of danger, this time that stands still and illuminates, a profane illumination. But it was also this old idea of kairos and Nungstans, given its most recent articulation in Hannah Arendt, when she writes about revolution. Revolution as rupture, as this break. But the most important meaning she gives to kairos, or revolution as a turning point, is revolution is a time of new beginning, and it's the time of freedom. So what we've done in this conference from this, or what the organizers in this conference have done so nicely with this idea of turning point, is really give us a very interesting philosophical idea of different conceptions of time, different experiences of time. And we were given ways to think about it with the exhibit downstairs, where we have snapshots, little kairotic moments of time, frozen in black and white. And Peter also gave us a nice example from a museum on giving these snapshot images of history. This is a very nice example of freezing time for a moment. Yeah. And then yesterday, those of us who went to Lidice, also, this was a very, very, very nice way to think about different experiences of time, visiting these burial grounds, place of memory, museum with the film, with these images and pieces, but the entire experience, as all of a sudden ordinary everyday time stops and we reflect, we go back, we enter into a different type of time. So just to reflect on this title, we've been using turning points in this dates, particularly 1989 and 1945 and 1914 as the dates that we've mostly been referring to. They have a very long and interesting philosophical background that is about different ways in which we experience time. Now the next word, Europe. Oh boy, do I love this. What does Europe mean? And how has this meaning changed from 1914 to, I'm going to add 2014, because the ghost or spirit haunting these entire 3 days has been 2014, Ukraine, right? Euromaidan. What does Europe mean? So I'm going to offer you two suggestions. One is Benedict Anderson's idea of an imagined community and say that Europe is nothing more than an imagined community. And the other is Tony Judd. Europe is a grand illusion. So Benedict Anderson writes, with respect to the nation, that the nation is an imagined political community and imagined as both inherently limited and sovereign. What does that mean? Well, you have borders, somebody belongs, somebody doesn't. But the important point for Anderson is the imagination, the political symbolism, and the way that imaginary symbols work, and the imaginary feeling that people have of belonging somewhere or wanting to belong somewhere. And what Anderson does when he writes about the nation is he calls upon the ghost of Ernst Renan and says the most important thing for a nation is forgetting, right? And that forgetting, as he writes, I would even go so far as to say historical error is a crucial factor in the creation of a nation. So if you want to be a nation, you need to forget something. The European Union is quite similar to as we heard, certain things have got to be forgotten if you want to stick together as an imagined political body. But there are certain types of things that are really important to remember for Renan, and he emphasizes it's not triumphs that are important, but painful experiences in the past. And as Renan writes, and this is important for Anderson, where national memories are concerned, griefs are of more value than triumphs, for they impose duties and require a common effort. The duty to remember, the imperative to remember, comes from painful experiences rather than positive ones. So one idea of thinking about Europe is it's an imagined community. But now Tony Judd. In 1995, Tony Judd gave a series of lectures in Florence, and he asked the question of whether Europe is a grand illusion, which is just projected onto the future and has nothing to do with reality. And he reflected on the strangeness of people wanting to join Europe. And he writes, this curious locution shows how much Europe today is not so much a place as an idea, a peaceful, prosperous, international community of shared interests and collaborating parts, a Europe of the mind, of human rights, of the free movement of goods, ideas, and persons, of ever greater cooperation and unity. The emergence of this hyper-real Europe, more European than the continent itself, an inward and future projection of all the higher values of the ancient civilization, but shorn of its darker qualities, cannot be attributed just to the imprisonment of Europe's other eastern half. Now, Judd basically is skeptical about a European identity being able to replace the old-fashioned national identity, and that would also complement what we just heard from Professor Kováč. However, Judd does say, so Europe as a grand illusion, that there is one thing that all Europeans share, and that's the importance of divisions. Indeed, he writes, drawing distinctions among and between themselves has been one of the defining obsessions of the inhabitants of the continent. And that's what we've been doing for the past 3 days, is looking at these defining obsessions, these divisions that somehow keep Europeans together. So what are the divisions we've been talking about? Clearly, the Pandora's box of uniqueness of the Holocaust versus crimes of communism. These have come up, also have come up colonialism, Yugoslavian war, Spanish Civil War. But here the question, I guess, of these divisions and as it has been approached by the NGOs and the different museums and the different networks that we've been talking with and heard presentations from, especially this morning, is, I think, importantly, the recognition of difference without being divisive, the recognition of different historical experiences without excluding another one. And I think this has been very important, and I've certainly learned a lot from the various NGOs and civic organizations here. Now, there was on the very first day, there was a question raised by a woman. I don't know if she's here today. I hope she is, because her question has been in my mind the last 3 days. The question was the following: what are the lessons learned beside never again? I don't know if this person is here. She's not. Oh, well, she was. You are here. I'm so glad, because you raised this question on the very first day, on the very first panel. And it was exactly, this was such a good question, that what are the lessons, why do we remember, why are we all here interested in remembering about the past, and what can we say that we learn aside from never again? So I've been thinking the last couple of days, and I'm going to try to give you some suggestions of what I think are modest things we can say we have learned. First would be, we could say that we are cautious against grand narratives. And I'm going to use a different word rather than grand narrative. I know that's a really popular word and it's sexy and all that, but I'm going to go back to Isaiah Berlin, because I think he has a nicer way of talking about grand narratives. Isaiah Berlin was actually a Russian Jew born in Riga who emigrated to England and was a fellow at All Souls College for decades. And he wrote this lovely little essay about Tolstoy. And in this essay, he began to develop this theory, which is to say that there are two types of people, or two different ways of thinking about history. One is monism. There's one truth and only one way of thinking about history. Or there's pluralism. There are many different truths and many different ways of thinking about history. And I think what we can say, one of the lessons we can say we've learned, is to be cautious about grand narratives, cautious about monism. And in philosophy, the idea of a monism is very seductive. Every part of reality should fit into one system, and we can explain the entire world. What does Berlin say? Well, he has this wonderful quote. The enemy of pluralism is monism, the ancient belief that there is a single harmony of truths into which everything, if it is genuine, in the end must fit. And I think pluralism is a much more attractive idea or set of ideas than monism, whether it's fascism as a monism, communism as a monism, democracy as a monism, whatever ism you want to put in there. The singularity of it is what I think is the most dangerous. Now, does that mean that pluralism is relativism? No. And that's where Berlin is also very clear, as he writes. If pluralism is a valid view and respect between systems of values which are not necessarily hostile to each other is possible, then toleration and liberal consequences follow. This is important, right? That when we think about pluralism rather than monism, we have a possibility that toleration and liberal consequences can follow. We're not guaranteed, but we have a possibility, whereas we don't have that possibility with monism or a grand narrative. But at the same time, if you think about monism, which is only one set of values is true, all others are false, or relativism, my values are mine, yours are yours, and if we clash, too bad, neither of us can claim to be right. So one thing we've learned is, I think, goodbye to grand narratives, goodbye to a singular monastic conception of truth. Pluralism is a far better one. There's not a guarantee, but we have a better chance of toleration and some type of liberal consequence. So that's the first. The second thing maybe we can say we learned, I already mentioned Popper, he's going to come back again. The open society is messy, it's unpredictable, and it's very, very fragile. So to live in an open society, right, means that we cannot expect to know what the future will bring, and that the open society is imperfect by nature. Ralph Dahrendorf, when he was reflecting on the revolutions in Europe, came up with a wonderful little scheme whereby he said, he pretended he was writing a letter to a gentleman in Warsaw, and he wrote that if one is to think about the transition from communism to democracy, how might we imagine the time frame? The transition from a closed society to an open society. And he says you can imagine there would be 6 months for constitutional change, 6 years for economic change, but 60 years for social change. And we are only 25 years into this change, right? So the social change, the change of values, citizenship, so forth, in order to become an open society is a very, very long process. So first thing we might have learned that was some form of pluralism is better than monism. Second thing, open society is very messy, unpredictable, and fragile. The third thing, I think I'm still going to put in that plug for human rights, the value of human dignity and the value of each human being, regardless of their specificity, whether it's a nation, ethnicity, religion, and gender. I think there's a greater amount of individuals now than before who think that human dignity is important, and that's a major learning step. And the fourth thing we've learned, and you might ask who are this we? Well, it's probably me, but I'm going to make it into a we here, just for the hell of it. All these nice things that I've talked about have to be safeguarded by democratic institutions. So the necessity to safeguard and protect, encourage open society and freedom and pluralism, these can only come about through democratic institutions. And of course, democratic institutions also have to adapt to change in society. They're not rigid. They're not written completely in stone here. So my final remarks now will be looking at this idea of this duty to remember. Do we have a duty to remember? Is it a categorical imperative? I had a similar question as you raised to yourself. And I tried to think about this question, though, within the framework of the introduction to our conference. And the question was, or the phrase was, what is the common European experience of dictatorship and war? And how can one recognize many historical experiences without imposing a singular narrative? Perhaps rather than saying that it's either Holocaust or crimes of communism or both, if there is rather, since 1945, a looser framework of dictatorship and war, then many historical experiences can go in there, and they can be the cornerstone of some sort of values after World War II, and these would be human rights, peace, democracy, tolerance. You can add whatever you want to it. But where do we get this feeling of duties and obligation from? Well, Edmund Burke, after the French Revolution, Edmund Burke, he's a conservative, but he's still a really wonderful thinker here, wrote about what he called the great primeval contract between the living, the dead, and the unborn, so between the present generation, the past generation, and the future. And he basically wrote that we do have duties and obligation to the dead, and that we are in a partnership. We in the present are in a partnership between the past and the future. And this is what it means to be a human being and think in a political sense. And this will be my very last sentence here. I close with Burke. As Edmund Burke writes, a partnership between those who are living, those who are dead, and those who are to be born. Each contract of each particular state is but a clause in the great primeval contract of eternal society. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm going to open the final discussion, but before that, a short information, but an important one. They are expecting here at the ministry an important visit from Brussels later afternoon. So we have promised to leave the building just after 3:30 because of ceremonial reasons and because of safety reasons. So we really have something like 10-12 minutes. So I would propose, I don't know, to collect 3 comments from the audience and then to allow our speakers to answer briefly, and then I will have to close the conference. So please, do we have microphone? So please, yes, there is.
Thank you very much for what you have said. And there is one thing, Peter, that you put on the table, and I think it's very important, and I think it's a pity that we are not so many now. Because well, I don't know, it's just like something is not shared, really, like between us, among us. And when you spoke of economy, I'm very, 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 very deeply surprised that we can't speak much more of this aspect of the things, because it's one of the common reason and levier to make the story of the world. And you speak of 25 years, and you speak of Kairos also, and I think we are absolutely not in this moment. We are just like very blind altogether. It's not pessimistic. It's not. It's just if we want to change, I think we really have to see where we are, but not being optimistic just to be optimistic. Well, I know. I mean, if I'm alive, if I didn't commit suicide, it's because I have faith in a human being and human possibility and human being collectively. But because I'm weak individually or by myself, I'm not at the level I would like to be. I put my trust in the collective intelligence. But if we only put our trust in this collective intelligence and we don't go deeper in what I can do, as you said at the beginning, but it was just like 1% of what you said, Siobhán. But I think there is something really to carry about the within as individual, and as how can we see the world and the politics and the memory and the process also, but the action we have to be in right now as a macrocosm. If we can see all the levels in us, within us, as a microcosm, and we can try to see the world with our egoist interests. Maybe it can be, and really to see this egoist interest, I mean the economic one, really. And it's not a detail, it's like we speak a lot of the tree and of ramification and not so much of root. And I from my experience, I know it's very, very difficult, but I think if we have to go on, we have to turn to the roots, and maybe we are like in a kindergarten, but there are interests much more higher, and we are like puppets in this big image. So, please, Peter, go on.
Thanks for the report. I'm from Ukraine, and my questions were from this one position. But first of all, I want to thanks for your reports, and especially thanks my colleague from Estonia for the segment of Ukraine. But we say that we need in experience of the past, but for today, for our days, it seems to me. And that my question was very briefly for Peter. What you can say about democracy in Ukraine? And the last, is Ukraine the challenge for European Union? But the situation is very dangerous. And who is the next in this conflict, say?
Sorry, I'm sorry to say that, but the last question from the audience, is there any? Okay, if not, I would ask our three speakers to react. Peter first.
So, very briefly, because we all have to leave. First of all, I wanted to reassure Siobhán, I'm not against human rights, and I'm not against the open society. Simply, I think, as a citizen, I do not think that we can reduce our political agenda to human rights only. They are an indispensable but not a sufficient condition for a democratic society. And so let's please be more ambitious. We can attain more than simply make sure that we are not arbitrarily arrested, deported, and killed. As a historian, I also think that we cannot reduce the past to a chamber of horrors. There is so much more in the past. The past is also a fantastic reservoir of alternatives, of experiences. The past is also beautiful and a tremendous source of inspiration for historians, but I think for all human beings. Ukraine, well, part of what I said was let's also, in terms of Western European eyes, rethink enlargement as a fantastic opportunity, not simply for those poor countries outside the Union, but as a fantastic opportunity for the Union itself at each and every occasion. And Ukraine is, I think, the best example. Just imagine we had accelerated enlargement. Just imagine we would have admitted Ukraine some years ago. Would the event taking place there have happened? And I'm willing to go further. Just admit we hadn't refused Turkey time and again. Wouldn't Turkey be a different place now? And maybe even, would the events in Syria have happened had the European Union had a common border with Syria? So let's be ambitious and let's stop to be afraid of enlargement. Enlargement is a fantastic opportunity to start with for the old member states.
Veľmi krátko k tomu veľkému problému úlohy historiografie. A ja by som možno že len malú poznámku k tomu kolektivizmu a individualizmu. Celý problém spočíva v tom, že my všetci sme individuá a možno, že by bolo dobre, keby budúcnosť smerovala k tomu, aby človek si viacej uvedomoval svoje individuum, ale žiaľ, história je taká, že od počiatkov ľudstvo žije v kolektívoch a je náchylné aj na všelijaké kolektívne, nejde o kolektívne identity, ale ide o vodcov, ktorí dokážu nejakým spôsobom manipulovať veľké kolektívy. Je to veľká téma, asi teda k tomu dneska veľa nepovieme. Pokiaľ ide o Ukrajinu, ja som osobne trošku viacej skeptický. Rád by som bol optimista, ale myslím si, že problém Európskej únie momentálne je asi v tom, že ona síce môže paralelne rozširovať, ale ona musí najprv, alebo súčasne s tým, riešiť svoj vlastný problém. To, ako reagovala Európska únia na Ukrajinu, je celkom evidentne dané tým, v akej situácii sa momentálne Európska únia ako únia jednotlivých štátov nachádza. Takže pravdepodobne, ak by bolo iba rozširovanie a nebola by konsolidácia vnútri Európskej únie, tak by to podľa môjho názoru mohlo viesť k veľkým problémom.
Thanks for the question on Ukraine. I agree. I think Ukraine is a huge challenge for European Union. It's a huge challenge also for the United States. And many East European leaders who throughout the years have been warning West Europeans and the United States not to take Putin seriously now see the emperor has no clothes. And Europe has only soft power to offer against Russia, and the United States the same thing. Probably it is a huge, 2014 will be a turning point in the sense that NATO has to rethink its raison d'etre. The United States foreign policy has got to take and make Europe once again an important part of its foreign policy, not the last issue. I would agree with Peter. I think Ukraine should have been admitted a long time before, but you can't go back. And I would also echo, I think it was Anna Kaminsky, when you made your talk on when you introduced to us the exhibition downstairs, to some of the great energy, excitement from 1989 of individuals demonstrating for freedom. One can only hope that this can also come to Ukraine. So yes, it's a challenge and a great opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you so much. So allow me a few words, especially a few words of thanks. So before genuine end of our session, I would like to thank all our speakers, not only now, but through those 3 days. I would like to thank all of you for your very intense participation and discussion and attention and so on. So I hope you enjoyed the event. I would like to thank, of course, all co-organizers, European Network Remembrance and Solidarity and all their people, Europe for Citizens and their team, Bundesstiftung Aufarbeitung, SED Diktatur, European Solidarity Center. I don't see the people here, but anyway, I thank them. And of course, our landlords, so to say, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I would name especially Mrs. Madrova. They really took care about us, not only through last 3 days, but they had a lot of problems and difficulties with us for last 3 months or something like that. I would also, if you allow, like to thank the people from the Institute for Contemporary History. So, já to řeknu česky, tak především paní Tučkové, která je tam vzadu a která měla na starost tu péči o vás tam od zdola až sem nahoru, a panu Weberovi, kterého nevidím, a všem jejich spolupracovníkům. No, oni se tam skrývají vzadu. And also I would like to thank those through which help we can understand each other in spite of being of different languages and so on. So our translators over there. And so, before saying goodbye, I would say I hope we'll see each other next year in Vienna. Yeah, we still don't know exactly when, but you'll be invited. Yeah, okay, so thank you and goodbye.